So let's make a cute little gyoza. I like to usually make them in off-white, but for the purpose of this full-length tutorial, we are going to use a different color. First step is to do 8 single crochets in a magic circle. Okay, there's your 8. Close the magic circle. Now we're going to increase 8 times. So each of our stitches gets 2 single crochets in them. There's 1, and I'm going to put my stitch marker here. And then we'll put the second one in the same stitch and do that all around. Missed that one. There we go. There we go. 2 SCs in each stitch. And we're almost done with the round. Okay, end of round 2. Now let's close this hole. Knot it. And cut off the tail. Now for round 3, we'll do 1 single crochet and then 1 increase in the next stitch of single crochets. All right, and we'll do that 8 times to get us around the whole circle. So that's the first one. Single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, okay. This is round 4. We will do 2 single crochets followed by an increase 8 times around. So we did 1 single, 2, and then increase, and we will do that all the way around. I'll meet you back at the beginning. And here's that last increase of round 4. There we go. Round 5 is 3 single crochets followed by an increase, and we'll do that 8 times. So there was 1 single crochet we just did, then 2, then 3, and an increase. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, increase, and we will repeat that pattern all the way around. Okay, for our last set of 3 singles and then an increase, we are finishing round 5, which finishes our circle. The next step is to fold the gyoza in half, and then we'll begin to close it. So the next stitch we're going to do is going to be putting a slip stitch through these 2 stitches, which are now the first stitches of this next part of the gyoza. So I'm going to call this the front half and this the back half. We're going to put the slip stitch through this first stitch, which has a stitch marker in it in the front half, and this stitch that we just created on the back half. So inserting our hook in this next stitch. It's a little bit tricky, but we're going to go back into that last stitch we had just created. Try to find that hole. There you are. And we're going to slip stitch. So if you can get it through by yarning over, great. I can't because of the awkward location, so I'm just going to yarn under. And try to pull it through the correct filaments. Okay, we did it. We did a slip stitch. All right, the next 11 groups of stitches are going to be as follows. You skip the next stitch on the front half. Insert your hook in the stitch after that. Then you go to the next stitch on the back. So the next stitch is the next available stitch. We are not skipping stitches on the back half, just the front. So insert your hook through both. Complete a single crochet, then a half double crochet in the same stitch, and then another single crochet. Then we repeat that. Skip a stitch on the front half, so put your hook into the following stitch, and then insert your hook into the next stitch on the back. Not skipping any on the back, just the front. Complete a single crochet stitch, then a half double crochet, and then a single crochet. And we're going to do 6 of these. I'll meet you after 4 more. Okay, now we've done 6 of those groups of stitches. Single crochet, half double crochet, and then single crochets. We can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you can see how the gyoza is already starting to curve in. That's because we're skipping those stitches on the front part, which allows it to bulge out more. And so our next step will be to put a face on, and you can choose to do it anywhere. You can maybe do it on the right side, the middle, the left. If you do it on the right side, I would probably do it before you complete this many stitches across because it's easier to access. Okay, now let's add the safety eyes. If we're going to put it on the left side of the gyoza, I like to count in a couple of stitches from the left. Maybe right there. This is between, we're going to put the eyes between rounds 4 and 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And go ahead and put your first eye, and then we're going to go about 3 stitches over so you can still see 2 stitch holes between the eyes. Then we put the backs on. I use my insertion tool every time. There we go. Next. There we go. Sometimes those are a little tough. Whew. Okay, cute. The eyes are on, and now we put on the mouth. So instead of using yarn for this, I actually like to use crochet thread. It's much thinner, and I think it ends up looking a lot cuter. With this kind of a needle, we're actually not trying to just go through a specific hole. We can create the hole. We're going to put this yarn wherever we want it. I mean, this crochet thread. So I like it about, exactly between the eyes if possible. And then I don't go low, like eye, and then mouth. For the most kawaii look, in my opinion, it should be up more or less between the eyes. So this is going to be the bottom of the mouth. So we're going to put it right there at the bottom of the level of the eyes. Pull that through, then see where you want it to end, and we're going to end it just before the top of the eyes. And we'll just make a cute little V. Next thing to do is to put the needle back in through from the back to the front in the same spot where we first came out. So it may or may not look exactly, because we're not going through an actual stitch hole for this, but you can just make it fit with your needle. And then let's try to get it to match as much as possible. It's okay if it doesn't, because it can look a little cute and quirky for the mouth. But there we go. So now we have this cute little mouth, and we will just simply tie it in the back. Okay, there's the mouth. The next step is to embroider on the cheeks. So you just take a scrap of pink yarn, and then I like the cheeks to be in the same line, in the same space between rounds 4 and 5 that we put the eyes in. If we can get the cheeks in as close to the outside of the eye as possible, that's really fun. So here's a hole right next to the eyes. I'm going to just go one hole over, put my hook back in, but then I'm going to bring it right back up where I first started. So we're going to have like a double layer cheek. All right, itself. Okay, so bring that back up in that next hole next to the other eye on the other side. And let's go one stitch hole over, embroider it the same way, bringing it back through that first spot that we came out of. And let's get one more layer. So let's just put it back in across there to the outside stitch again. So we have 2 layers. So we have 5 more groups of these single crochet, half double crochets, and single crochets to do. So let's get them done. Here we go. Skip that one stitch in the front and put the hook through the next one. Go to the very next one available in the back and single crochet through that. Half double crochet in the same stitch, and then single crochet through the same stitch. And we will repeat that 4 more times, and I'll meet you at the end. So I said meet you at the end, but if I really did that, then I wouldn't be able to show you how we need to continue to stuff it before we actually finish all those groupings of stitches. So while we still have some space to fit some more stuffing in, let us continue to stuff. You may have to use an implement to help get that stuffing in there, but let's continue to get it nice and firm. Just a little more. Okay, so now we actually just have one more set of these stitches to do to close the top. And then, so we skip a stitch, do our little group. Okay, and for our final stitch, we will begin, we will finish as we began with a slip stitch, but we will go ahead and skip this next stitch on the front half, put our yarn hook, put our crochet hook through that, and then put it through the next stitch on the back, just like we've been doing, but let's just do this as a slip stitch. And we're going to fasten off. We'll cut the yarn and we'll fasten off. So let's pull it through. As you can see, there are still, a couple of unworked stitches here at the end. So we are going to just pull our end of our yarn tail through those. And then it makes a nice little shape. Finishes it off, and you can put a little knot here and then weave the ends in, or for this project I find that it's acceptable to just start weaving the ends in, and I don't worry about my knots before I weave back and forth. So just do that a couple times to your heart's content, and I'll put it back through another time. The purpose of these for me is more to like have them as a decoration, so I'm not worried about little kids tugging at them and for the ends to come out. If you give this to little kids for play food though, you'll definitely want to knot it and wave it back and forth a few times. Okay, I just started shaping without telling you what I was doing. First of all, let's look at what we've created on the front. We've got the cute ruffle right here. We've done the face, And we've closed up the back, and now it's going to just fall over on its face, so we don't want that. Turn the gyoza away from you, put your thumbs here on this part facing you, and then the rest of your fingers on the actual front of the gyoza, and you want to push your thumbs and pull your fingers. So we're trying to bulge out that front so it gets that cute little bulgy look in the front, and so also that it's the kind of shape that it will stay when we set it down. And you see, it's ready to be sat down and not fall over on it on its face. Ta-da! And you can always reshape it, and it sits back. And you are done with your gyoza.